What is going on, everybody? We are here. We are at the Chiefs. My name is Dante. We are Chez Dante. And today, we've got a special guest in the building. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is James Favron.
Hey, we're going to have an amazing conversation. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and play the intro music.
Perhaps your skills do extend a bit farther than basketball.
We have to sample that for a song.
As I was saying, my name is Dante. We are Chez Dante. And today we've got James Favron in the building. Did I say that right, Favron?
You did, yeah.
Awesome. So you were, before we started this recording, you were saying that you recorded a verse that was a little bit controversial. Tell me a little bit about that. I love controversy.
Yeah, me too. And I've thought about starting a Twitter account. Under like an alter ego, so I can kind of say shit sometimes because I don't need a Kanye West situation on my hands.
Definitely.
Not that I'm going that route. It's all love. But just I think sometimes there's things you want to say that can get you in trouble with people.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know, I'm a big fan of comedy, and comedy, one of the big purposes of comedy, I think, is to shine a light on some of the shit in society that people don't want to.
100%.
Right?
I think that's one of the main, hold on, let me turn this down. One of the main purposes of comedy is to shine a light on those things in a positive way, right? Because you can shine a light, for instance, Kanye, for example, you could do it in a negative way. Or you can kind of do it in a way that's, comedic and it makes people feel good. They laugh. And one of the things I often think about comedy before we get into it, but it's when something is funny, you don't really have a choice whether you're laughing or not.
It's true.
And what makes you laugh is the truth about whatever it is, right? Even if it's the opposite, if someone says something wrong, it's the fact that you know that it's so wrong means that the exact opposite is true, which is why you're laughing so much.
Yes. And I think Chappelle does that really well too.
Yes.
Is he's really good at his storytelling and his jokes. He kind of takes you a direction where you think you're gonna agree just 100% with everything he's saying.
Yeah. And
then he flips it and you're like, fuck you, man. That shit is, you're right.
Yeah.
And he pulls the rug out from under people, and I think that's he's a genius for that reason.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So tell me about this verse that you wrote. You don't have to spoil the verse because it's from an unreleased project, I'm assuming.
Yeah. It wasn't much. I was just context. I was kind of just touching on. I'm a parent.
Okay.
So I have kids, and I don't know about you, but I grew up in a culture where getting a cuff upside the head was just a normal sort of thing.
100%. I grew up in that same time era.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't just your parents.
Yes.
Aunts, uncles, family, friends. I went to a Pentecostal church, so I was raised by Jamaican moms.
Oh, so I was gonna say the neighbors. You know what I mean? The whole community basically is
exactly.
But keep going on your.
No, but so that's the thing is it wasn't abuse.
Yes.
It was to catch your attention when you were getting out of line.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was the responsibility of everybody.
Yeah.
To do that for each other. And as a culture, as a society, we've become so soft that the shit kids say and do, and my partner is a teacher part-time at the Hamilton School Board. And there's last year they had these TikTok things going around where kids were smacking teachers' asses on TikTok. That's sexual assault.
That's
and
crazy.
There was no at the time, because we have to be so sensitive about everything. The school board hadn't agreed on or implemented an approach to deal with that yet.
Wow.
So it was this kid sexually assaults you on camera.
Yeah, and then they post it on TikTok.
And then they post it on social media, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then they get sent down to the office, and it's hardly any discipline for it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, when we were growing up, if I smacked a teacher's ass, that teacher or another teacher would have turned around and smacked me.
Yeah.
Like in school. That shit was like, and we're not doing that now.
Yeah.
And then the craziest thing is like, you have this weird sort of double world happening. So you get one kid who's like, I'm doing this TikTok where I'm going to smack this teacher's ass.
Yeah.
Then you get this other kid who's like, I'm doing this TikTok where we're going to see how this teacher responds. Because that's the other thing.
Oh, so they do it one people. Yeah,
everybody is on record, right? So kids are going around trying to piss off adults.
Oh my goodness!
Film it. You've seen it, I'm sure.
I'm not on TikTok. I wiped my feet of all that nonsense.
Fair. Very smart, very smart. But like, it's been going on for years. I feel like where people are like, you know, a cop will be having a conversation with someone in the street, and again, there's a whole that's a whole other topic. But like, you take a situation where you get two cops talking to a person in the street. And somebody goes over and starts putting their camera in the cop's face. And it's like, first of all, fuck off.
Yeah.
Second of all, what you're going to do is you're going to agitate that police officer.
100%.
And then that police officer is probably going to take that out on the person that they're addressing.
Yeah, or the next person.
Or the
like,
next person.
It's a compounding effect. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
And so anyways, the essentially the line in the song that I was working on, the verse that I was working on, was like, I'm getting a little tired of kids being like, these are my rights.
Oh yeah.
I want you to call me this name or call me this pronoun or call me, respect my rights. Yeah. But I'm gonna act like a shithead. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And like, how do we get there? Yeah. And can we please go back to something where kids were
a little bit more respectful, I guess. Like, because there is like, first of all, it's not acceptable to smack anybody on the ass. You get what I'm saying? No. But because it's a TikTok trend, which doesn't make it any better or worse, but it's like almost like, this is a reason why I get to do it because it's a trend or whatever it may be, regardless if it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's, well,
I think I just recently heard, sorry to cut you off. I just recently heard of a TikTok trend where kids found out that you could like hotwire Kia vehicles. Did you hear about this?
No. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have a Kia.
Yeah, but you don't even lock your door, so
that's another story.
But basically, apparently you can like, because these new Kias, they're like, you know, very electronic based, and they're almost like computers in a way. Okay. And apparently these kids have been like buying like USB keys like from like the dollar store or wherever, and you can like use that to like hack into the new Kias and steal the car and like drive away. Like you can use that to start. And some kids did that and they crashed and died. Craziness.
So then here's the thing, going back to comedy. What do we talk about? Because like, the irony of stealing someone's car and then the universe being like, it's like, nobody wants to say it. But
I'd say that. I'm writing this down.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, man. I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, you know, we're laughing at teenagers dying or whatever. But like, life has a funny way of being like,
life
circular.
No, 100%. That's why I love comedy so much, because it's like, obviously it's a bad situation, but you can look at it in a positive way, so you can learn something. Like, you should learn not to steal someone's car, especially if you don't know how to drive.
Absolutely.
Like, yes. And don't record yourself doing it as well. Like, that's a part of it. Like, they record themselves stealing this car because they saw it on TikTok, and then they try and drive the car, and then you crash and die. Like, from the news article that I read on Sunday, it was like a group of 4 kids. 2 of them died. One of them was like severely injured, and then the other one was like barely injured.
Really?
Yeah.
What a story, man. That's like, it's, what do you do with that? I think is like where and I think this is the reason that I kind of like, compartmentalize, I think, what happens in the world.
You have to.
Because it's
keep
what
going.
do you do with that?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much about that. One, stealing people's cars is a bad thing to do.
100%.
Two, filming yourself committing a crime is so stupid.
And posting it online, don't forget that part.
Yeah.
Not even just filming, it's like posting it to the algorithm.
You're such an idiot. And then you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But then, you have kids getting killed and stuff, which is sad and heartbreaking,
Yeah.
obviously. So there's so much inside of that that sometimes I get to the point where I'm just like, it's another thing. Like, add it to the list of shit.
Literally,
that I just don't know what to say about it. Right?
And for me, like me personally, like when you talk about compartmentalizing, that's one of the reasons why I did that whole social media wipe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't need this nonsense in my feed. I don't even need it in my consciousness.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be thinking about these things.
Yeah.
Like my mom, her job, she deals with a lot of like traumatic experiences, so she's like kind of used to it.
Yeah.
But then she'll like come and tell me like, oh, and then she'll like just go. I'm like, I didn't need to know about this. You know what I mean? And it's just like you're bringing the whole vibe down.
Dude, this is a huge thing. So my kids, again, not to talk about them so much, but it's just it informs me so much. My kids, like they watch a bunch of dumb shit on social media and whatever. And even like my oldest, so Jax is 8 now. He'll be 9 soon. He's watched a little bit of Stranger Things.
Okay.
Which I'm not super fond of.
Okay.
But between their mom and I, we have separate households and we do things differently, which is totally cool. There's stuff that happens in my house that I'm sure is not great.
100%.
But like, so he's watched some Stranger Things and stuff, and I love Stranger Things.
Okay.
I love Stranger Things. I loved Squid Game. Like I love Black Mirror. I love dark art.
Yes.
Sometimes as art.
Yes.
But what you watch and what you listen to really informs the way that you see the world.
100%.
There's this old George Clooney movie called Tomorrowland.
Oh, it was like the futuristic one. Yeah.
So they basically like there was some computer algorithm or community of geniuses that like they resolved that humankind was going to wipe itself out.
Okay.
At some point.
Yes.
So to like expedite that process, they were in control of the media and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They started, making movies and creating fake news articles about global disasters and all this sort of stuff to kind of like help human beings along the process. Because I think it's like when you have $100,000 in your bank account, you're really thoughtful about where you invest. When you have $100 in your bank account, you like go out for a last meal with your friends.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We kind of do that thing as humans.
100%. I feel personally attacked.
I wish you all the 100,000s in your bank account.
I'm working my way. Don't worry.
But we do that thing, right? So in this movie, that was kind of the concept. And like, this is one of the reasons that I'm particular about what I take in on social media, about what I read on the news, all that kind of stuff, because I think it informs your worldview. Yes. And then you create the world that you experience, right? Yeah. And so what's in your mind, and even the simplest things, like when you believe that people are inherently good, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
And people like life has value and people deserve to be treated kindly. Yep. Then you're kind to people.
Yes, 100%.
And then what you get in return is that people are kind to you.
Yep.
And then that confirms your belief that people are kind by nature, right? This was one of the reasons that I like walked away from Christianity. Okay. Partially. I think still at my core, I'm like heavily informed by the person of Christ.
Well, do you think that's because that was like, because I feel the same way, but also that's because that's like one of my earliest teachings.
Yeah, yes.
Right? So that could be like one of the most coarse things to your personality. Yes. Whether you believe it 100% or not, there is still some sort of belief there.
Absolutely. Okay. It's definitely like ingrained in me. But I think one of the problems with it was like this Western Christianity, which ironically is not the same thing as global Christianity.
Yeah, it's not even real.
Yeah. But like this idea that, So I studied the Bible in university.
Okay,
I
nice.
went to seminary and studied the Bible.
Okay.
And so there's this concept that Adam and Eve were the first people.
Yes.
And so humankind are all descendants of Adam and Eve, and because Adam and Eve were like, I guess for whatever reason, they were inclined to do the one thing that they were asked not to do.
Yes.
So then that is the DNA of all their descendants. Is that? And so that's where this like concept of like sinful nature, that like human beings inherently have a sinful nature.
Yes.
Well, if you study the Bible in Hebrew and from some different perspectives, what you realize is like, so Jesus Christ, the man in the flesh.
Yep.
In Genesis, it says that like in the beginning, like God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit have always existed, right?
Okay.
So Jesus Christ is the Son.
Okay.
And if he's always existed, then the first man to ever live was Christ.
Okay.
Which means that if all human beings are descendant of the first person, then all human beings are descendants of Christ.
Yes.
And Christ doesn't have an inherent sinful nature. He is God. Which means that human beings, by this belief, don't have an inherent sinful nature.
Interesting.
We have perfect nature.
Yes.
But we've conditioned ourselves for generations to believe that inherently we're sinful.
I like where this is going. I like this idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So then if we can grasp this concept, they're like, oh shit, no, like at my core, I am the descendant of God.
Yeah.
Then I don't need to like learn to reject sin. I just need to learn to accept that it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So then you get to be good because good is you.
Yep.
Right? And then like when God makes things, he only makes good things because that's his creative nature.
Yeah,
and if God made me, well then
you're a good thing that God made.
I'm a good thing.
Yeah.
Which means I can just be free to be good.
Yeah.
And then all of the people around me that are being bad, I can be gracious to them, be like, I come in peace.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, legit.
You know what I mean?
And that's typically how I try and go about things. I just try and be good. If you, like you said, if you be good to people externally, people will then externally be good to you, which then brings more good back to you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's a very good concept. I like the fact that it's like, it's almost like a conditioning from somewhere. I don't know where this conditioning started. Like, I don't know. Do you want to go down that road?
That's 1,000-year-old rabbit trail to figure out.
I know. I've been going down such deep rabbit holes lately. Like
What's your favorite one? What is it?
It's that one. Like, it goes so deep. Like the rabbit hole that I'm in is so deep. I'm about 36,000 years in history right now.
Wow.
Like that's how deep it goes. And it might go further, but
I like it. So what's cooking? What's brewing?
Okay.
What's been on your mind? I love philosophy. So hit me.
So my whole thing is I think, or I'm inclined to think, or I'm currently, first of all, this is where I'm currently at on this thought. So it's not
it's a journey.
It's a journey, right? Yeah. And I say, or I'm gonna start saying this now, but I think, we're all explorers, right? We're all looking, we're all learning, we're all exploring, basically. So I've been exploring this deep ass rabbit hole I'm in right now. Yeah. That's basically saying, like the first teachings that were then turned into the Bible, which Christianity was formed upon, comes from an earlier civilization that got wiped out somehow. Now, depending on how deep or how open of a thinker you are, there are some people that believe that the myth of Atlantis is not a myth, rather it's an actual story of a previous culture that was here. They upset the gods, then they got flooded. But, there's this thought, or there's whatever of, or there's this idea of there was one Atlantean that foresaw this sort of flood coming. and then moved from Atlantis. He went to Egypt and started teaching the Egyptians. Oh. And then from Egypt, they started teaching the Greeks and so all that stuff. So there is this thought that we had already kind of figured out most of this stuff. Well, not most of it, but like we figured out more back then than what we figured out right now.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure back then they weren't stealing Kias for a TikTok challenge, and like that stuff to them wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. But like I said, from the stuff that I've been researching and, reading and watching, it's basically there was an Atlantis or something like an Atlantis. We don't know what it was, but
earlier
civilization, whatever it may be, they foresaw the forecoming whatever, sent a dude from Atlantis to Egypt. He settled Egypt, taught them about pyramids and writing and math and all these things.
Okay.
And then that's where kind of Christianity starts around that area. Not that time, but around that area. Because this would have been, depending, like I said, I don't know if this is true, but there's
You haven't fact checked?
No, the facts are there. The facts are there, but it's like, it's so crazy that I personally believe that this idea is so crazy that I don't know if it's the modern church or the showrunners, whatever you want to call it, the game makers or whoever, you know what I mean.
Capital City. Yeah.
What exactly? You know what I mean? But if that story is to be true, we have to change our current understanding of history.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if exactly. And if we have to change our current understanding of history, why do we have to listen to these people that have been lying to us if that history that they've been telling us is not even really real?
Yeah.
Because like I said, there's this idea that Atlantis was a previous civilization that it could have been just North America. Like, we don't know. Right? It could just be North America.
Yeah.
North and South America combined, right? And they crossed the Atlantic Ocean, whatever, to Egypt.
Yeah.
But that whole side could have been wiped. But we have history that's saying, well, North America wasn't discovered until 1492, whatever. But who's to say that they didn't come from North America, South America beforehand?
We're just kind of jumping continents over the generations.
Going back and forth. But we keep forgetting, or whatever it may be, or we keep resetting, or we keep blowing ourselves up, and then we have to start over again. Like,
I think what I love about this kind of thinking is finding out. Or I guess for me, like, because I get a lot of these, even on TikTok, like spiritual conspiracy theories are a big thing that come up on my
those have been TikTok. On my feed as well. Yeah.
I think for me, because I can get overwhelmed in all of it too, right? For me, it comes back around to like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Which is such a personal, the answer is personal. And I think this is like, for me, I find this information so intriguing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much that comes with it. On the one hand, you can turn yourself into a crazy person.
Yes.
Trying to fight all of your friends and family into believing what you believe.
Yeah.
Which is just...
It's exhausting.
Nobody wants to be that uncle.
Definitely.
And then on the other side of it is like, you can also find like-minded people and then like reject your community, your people, your family, which I think is important. Because for whatever reason, God decided that your family was your family. This is a really interesting thing for me too, with like society has changed so much in that, like, people just like, oh, my parents were, bad parents, so now my friends are my family. It's like, well, like, I don't know if you know anything about like generational stuff, but like, it's actually really important to get to know your parents because they give shit to you like genetically both medically, like
Yep.
you might need to know that like you have
100%.
cancer in
Yep.
your family, but also like if your great grandfather had an addictive personality and
Yep.
so did your grandfather and so did your father, but you only know your dad who was an addict, and then once you got 13, 14, you said, fuck you, I'm out of here, I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
And then you cut him off. And then you just repeat the pattern.
Exactly.
You have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't keep a relationship, and
Yeah.
you fuck all your friends and stuff. So it's actually like really, no matter how bad your parents are,
Yeah.
it benefits you to get to know who they were as people,
100%.
so that you can break generational curses or behaviors and better yourself. Also, I think there's a huge personal, like maturity and development and growth that comes with being able to look at your imperfect parents and be like, you're people.
Yep.
I forgive you. It's good. Like,
Yep.
obviously boundaries are important
Yeah.
if your parents are really bad,
Yep.
really toxic, really damaging. But like, what a gift at the same time to be able to like be the vessel that helps your parents heal.
100%.
Like if you got, like my dad grew up in foster care. His dad died when he was super young and his mom was always around, but it was just a crazy situation.
Yeah.
So like, what a gift for me to have been raised by this person from those conditions
Yeah.
and come out okay.
Yeah.
I'm not great. I got
You're
my
not
own
perfect,
shit,
but you're- yeah.
He did an all right job.
100%.
His parenting combined with my mom's parenting. And,
Yeah.
and with, you know, the community that they decided to like help them raise us.
Yeah.
Which for us was, you know, Christian church.
Yeah.
Made me the person that I am today. And I'm
Yeah.
a free thinker.
Yeah.
And I'm a kind person.
100%.
I'm a generous person.
Yeah.
So, whatever they did
Yeah.
okay. So then what a gift to be able to return that favor at some point down the line.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, Dad, tell me a bit about yourself.
There's are you familiar with Jordan Peterson at all? Because he
Yeah.
talks about, you know, rescuing your father from the underworld, right? Like, and
I like
that's
that.
like a story like that. It's a story, but it's almost like an idea that is put inside of stories, right? So for instance, he talks about Pinocchio.
Okay.
How Pinocchio, I think it's Pinocchio. I don't know which one it is, but like he has to go down into the underworld, the belly of the beast, and save his father, and then bring him back to the light.
Doesn't like Geppetto end up in like a whale or something? Right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So like that sort of idea
Very interesting.
of like once you get to a certain level, and then you realize like, oh, now that I'm here, now I can go back and save my father or go back and talk to them or, you know, repay them for all the stuff that they've done for me.
Yeah.
It's like, that's one of those things that's been around, like one of those ideas.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
I think that's super valid. And I think also like this concept, again, I'm not super convinced that like Western Christianity is sort of the only way to see the world. I'm not convinced at all, actually. But this concept of and I probably relate because I'm a son, not a daughter.
Yep, 100%.
You know,
Yep.
and I have a dad, which I'm very fortunate to have. But I think like even, you know, as a society, we've made it like the statistics on fathers fighting for custody for their kids in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Really?
Yeah, there's been a huge spike in fathers fighting for custody for their
Wow.
kids. The reason for that is because one of the few things we've done well as a society is we've gotten better at recognizing the importance of dads.
Yes.
And so we had a point in society where for the amount of work and money and fight that it was for a dad to try to get time with their kids against a let's say a toxic mom.
Yep.
It was better to go. It was better to just run away.
Yeah.
To just disappear.
Yep.
And get the title of deadbeat.
Yep.
And because there was no winning as a dad.
Yeah.
There was no chance.
Yeah. 100%.
Even now, having gone through a divorce and like learning about like current legal like structure in the battle between, and thankfully it wasn't like a battle with my kid's mom.
Yeah.
Everything was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not easy obviously, but I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Like even the stuff I had to go through just to like, I had to get like letters from the school and from the dentist and from doctor's offices and all that sort of stuff, just to prove that I was doing the same amount of work as her. And like, and she didn't have to provide those documents.
Interesting.
And she wouldn't have had them because I was doing all of the dentist appointments, all of the doctor's appointments, all of the schooling, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Not because she is a bad parent. I just said, like, that was my responsibility, right? Yeah. So, yeah, like, even now, it's a big enough fight that, like, 20 years ago. Yeah. And, like, obviously, we know statistically speaking, like, dads of color or like not, you know, obviously not white dads, was a higher ratio.
100%.
And why? Look at how hard it was just to be a black man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard,
or a dude. Latino man in the 100%. States or in Canada. Yeah, and then to have to try to like fight the uphill battle of being like, I deserve time with my children.
No, literally, bro. I was just talking to Dope Chief about this earlier, but it's like, RP to Takeoff. I don't know if you guys heard the news, but he just passed away. Yeah. But it's like, bro, like over dice, like it's just. Not saying it's because he's black, but it's like only the black people are the ones that are killing each other over a dice game. It doesn't even make sense. Yeah. Like, you have to fight against your own kind of being, your own culture, whatever it is. Whereas, there's not those extra layers of, I don't even know what the extra of like difficulty is. But like,
as a white dude, there's none.
No. No, as a black guy, meaning like, okay, like for instance, like, me looking at that from the outside, it doesn't make sense. Like, over a dice game, like, these guys they're millionaires. They make good music. They make good money. But you still get killed by your own kind. Yeah. Whether it be jealousy, like even, what's his face? P&B Rock got killed over a chain. Like, trivial stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Trivial. Like, a chain, a game of dice. And, Pop Smoke, he died because they wanted to rob his place. Like, this doesn't even make sense.
And honestly, man, like, gang culture, even just, like, some people are killed just for the opportunity to join the gang. Yep. Like, that's a thing, right? Yep. Like, the fact that someone would be like, go kill that person and you can join our gang. It's like, oh my God. And I remember a few years ago, I grew up in Rexdale in Toronto, which is a fairly heavy like gang community. Yeah.
People are afraid of Rexdale. I know some people like, I lived in Jane and Finch for a while growing up.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with the area, but then I moved to Milton. And I remember like, when I told people I was from Jane and Finch, they'd be like, how did you make it out alive? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
when you're like, I think when you live there, it's a different story.
It is because you live there. It's different. But from the outside, people are like.
Well, because you hear, like, again, this is a big thing about like talking about sort of the power of media and stuff. It's like, certain communities, the intention is to keep them what they are.
100%.
A specific way about a specific neighborhood. Yep. People don't go there, and then they get to keep it how it is.
They get to keep it how it is.
These neighborhoods are generally populated by
people of color.
Yep. People of a certain class system. Yep. But yeah, like, so I grew up in Rexdale, and I remember hearing, throughout high school, I had multiple friends that were shot over dumb shit. Yeah. And a few years ago, I heard about an old friend of mine from high school was killed in an apartment over, I think it was a drug-related thing, but it was gang-related to drugs, And it's like, it's so devastating that human beings treat each other this way.
It is.
And I don't see it in other, like, I try to compare people to animals. Yep. Sometimes just so I can.
Well, we're animals, so I don't see why not make that comparison. And we're the only ones that forget that we're animals.
That's part of it, yeah. And so then we like in the animal kingdom, obviously there's hunting and killing and blah blah blah. Yep. But like, I just feel like for the intellect that human beings have, the way we behave, the things we do to each other is like, we don't deserve the smarts. We throw it away. We could be doing so much.
Some of us throw it away.
Fair.
Right. Not everyone, like you're saying earlier, there's some of us that are, we're just good people. You get what I'm saying?
Everybody's good people, but for some reason, there's something, and that I think is something that a question I'll never have an answer to that I'll always pursue. Is
what question?
Why are we like this? We have everything at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And then we self-sabotage as a species.
One of the reasons I think we self-sabotage is because we look for the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So like say for instance, and I'll use the P&B Rock example, right?
Yeah.
So he recently got killed because someone wanted to rob the chain that he was wearing.
Yeah.
Now the dude that robbed the chain, he could have been like, well, I can
get a job.
I can get a job. I can, work at McDonald's. I can do overtime, and then I can work my way up to a manager role, or I can just rob this guy, get a $50,000 chain, and now I'm $50K up. That seems way easier and way faster than going to school, getting a job, studying, working your way up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons. It's just easier to do that. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to walk up behind someone's like, give me your wallet.
Yeah, but also you don't I guess this is a lesson you learn after the fact, but
it's not easier in the long run.
You value that chain.
No, they value the $50,000 the chain's worth.
But the $50,000 is gonna it's gonna be wasted.
Yeah,
it's not
100% is gonna be wasted.
And that's I think part our value is in the wrong place.
100%
as society. I think that's a big thing. Is I was talking to someone about this the other day. So Rose is a photographer.
Okay.
And so she was telling me what people will pay for a family session photo shoot or whatever. It's a few $100s. And I was like, as a musical artist, I'm like, it's hard enough trying to get people to pay $30 for a ticket to come to a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then to have somebody pay $400 or $500 for for 15 pictures of their family.
Yep.
In the same back area.
Yep. Yep.
For half an hour, 45 minutes. It's I love photography.
Yeah.
And it's I'm not talking shit about it.
No.
But I think that art in general is undervalued.
100%. I often think about that because, just not to cut you off, but if you look at all the churches and all the cathedrals, I think those are works of art.
Yeah.
Right? If you go look at the one church that's right on Main, or King, as you're going onto the 403 there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I see that one every time I'm leaving Hamilton.
Yeah.
That's a work of art.
Yeah.
Whereas now you might see we have a modern church and it's just a cube.
Oh my gosh, dude! This is one of the reasons why architecture is one of my favorite things too.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just watching this show the other day. We've lost, and modern architecture, sure, it's its own form of art.
Yeah.
But we've definitely lost our appreciation for for art. Just in general, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if we're in another dark ages.
Okay.
Which is on one hand super depressing, and on the other hand the Renaissance came from that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, and again, we talk about sort of cycles.
Everything is
society,
a circle,
right?
I have a circle theory. Everything's a circle. Everything is a cycle.
Yeah.
Everything comes and goes. It goes good to bad, bad to good, good to
Yeah.
But sorry, keep
going.
going.
I think because we just like food is hard enough to come by right now.
Yep.
Groceries are so expensive. Gas is so expensive. Rent is so expensive. The teachers are like going on strike on Friday because they're not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Another strike. I remember.
It happens every year, dude.
Every year we have a strike.
Yeah.
Like I was just listening to the Rogan podcast, and he had Dr. Phil on, and he was talking about how all these kids are like falling behind in school because of the strikes, COVID, you know, all these things. Like they're missing like crucial years of learning that they can't get back, nor are they likely to try and get it back.
No.
Right? Like
no,
I think
like, and in so many ways, because on the one hand, like their school is the school system is problematic in itself.
I agree.
You know, as far as like, it's designed to cater to a certain kind of thinker.
Yep.
To a certain kind of problem solver, and so like the system itself is complicated and not the best, but like there's no the resources aren't there for parents to be able to make up for you know what their kids are missing in school. I remember when they did COVID, I didn't want to do virtual school for the boys because I didn't want them sitting on a computer all day.
Yeah.
So I got like the work packages from school, and I was their teacher for a little bit. And I realized I don't know what the hell they're supposed to know.
Interesting.
Are they, like grade 2, are they supposed to be able to write their name yet? I don't know. I see them come home from school with work and they've written their name. But like, did the teacher like stand there with them and do each? I don't know.
Let me ask you this then. As a father, do you think that what they're supposed to know is decided by someone else, or do you kind of believe that you get to decide what it is they should know? Because I like the fact that you took that teaching into your own hands, right? Some other people would not do that, right? They might, or maybe they couldn't, you know, no fault of their own or whatever, but. You know, you took that upon yourself. You took that responsibility to be like, okay, what is it that they should know, or what can I teach them, and you know, what steps? Like, do you think that you as a father, you are to decide what your children should learn?
No, I don't think so. I think that there are people who went to school to understand how a child's brain develops.
Yep.
You know, I think that like I have a huge respect for educators.
Yep.
They're very, very, very important. They understand
100%.
early childhood development.
Yep.
They understand like how their brains work.
Yes.
Both in like retaining information and also being able to like then turn like understanding what the letter B looks like.
Yes.
And then make their fine motor skills to be able to make that letter B and put it all together. And then to understand what that letter sounds like, and what it sounds like with an A beside it versus what it sounds like with a U beside it. Yeah, educators are so fucking important.
Yes.
But I think that there are definitely topics that should be not the responsibility of parents, because again, understanding that not everybody has all the skills that they should have in life. There are parents who don't have enough experience with drugs to teach their kids about drugs. Right?
Fair enough.
So, like, do we necessarily want a recovered addict teaching our kids about drugs in school? Maybe that's not great. They're, well, maybe that is great because maybe they understand like the dangers of it. I think that when it comes to like, you know, the basic skills of math and reading and writing and science even and all that kind of stuff, I think that the school system, however flawed it may be, I think some form of a school system is absolutely crucial. And I think kids learning amongst other kids is helpful because they, you know, so it's just good for them. So I think that school is very important. I don't think that our educators are paid enough.
100%. I agree. And this, you know, like we went on a bit of a tangent, but we have so much misplaced value
That's
right.
yeah,
Like, you know, like teachers are not paid enough. Therefore, we don't have enough teachers to teach.
That's what's happening.
Right.
Which is why they're doing the strikes again. Because they're not getting paid enough money for the job, which means they're not going to the job.
Yeah.
Which means we don't have teachers, which means we don't have schools.
Yeah.
Right? I think politicians are like human scum.
Speak your truth. Speak your truth.
Like, it's almost like, I don't know how to explain it. They are human beings.
Yes.
And as human beings, I value them and I respect them. And I know
100%.
politicians personally. And there are good politicians.
Yeah.
But once you put on the suit, a lot of time what happens is you become a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Your motives are in the wrong space, and that's because you have to. You know, as an artist, this is something that I like have to contemplate and think about as well. And this one thing that I talk to a lot of other artists about is like, I was just having a conversation with 𝓜 yesterday.
Yes. Shout out 𝓜. I'm gonna try and get him on an episode as well.
Bro.
Yeah, he's deep.
That dude is a thinker, and he's built like a god.
Oh my goodness, I know. Yes, I was there. We were. This is so funny. The 905 Fest. It was so funny because we're all just chilling there, and then we see 𝓜 on the court, and then there's like 5 of us guys just like, and then we all look over at 𝓜. You're like, damn, like this guy's built.
Yeah, dude is ripped. But yeah, he. So we were talking the other day, just yesterday, about art, and that like I'm an artist.
Yes.
But I also have like children to feed, and myself to feed, and a job to do, and so like understanding the context of the moment. So sometimes I'm making art to make, or music. Let's go directly. Sometimes I'm making music to make a piece of art. Yes, and I'm talking about something that is intentional and thoughtful and provocative or whatever. Yeah, and sometimes I'm making music to get paid. Yes, 100%. So if I'm writing for somebody else, or if I'm writing to sell the song to radio, I may still be the performing artist, but if I'm writing that song to sell it to commercial radio, then I have to kind of shelf the art side a little bit and just be like, I'm making a product here that needs to be sold. Right? So that's like, the same goes with politicians, I think, and with anybody in like a professional field. Yeah. It's like most of the time, I'm going to say most of the time, I struggle to believe if it's true or not, but I'm going to say that most of the time people get into politics because they want to do better for their communities. Okay. Yes. I'm going to say that.
I think it starts out that way.
I hope that the statistic is that most people get into politics because they want to do better.
I hope, the majority of people start out that way, at least.
But what happens is you start to realize that, like, corporations are funding most of what we do. Yep. And I have to do things to please those people. And people, most of society then comes around and is like, oh, you're a sellout. And this happens to artists too. You're a sellout. You start making shit that doesn't reflect what you were doing before or whatever. And it's like, I think we don't hold our political leaders responsible enough.
100%.
And what I mean by that,
I don't think we hold them responsible at all.
True, but what I mean by that is, if I'm a political, say I'm the mayor of Hamilton or whatever, right? Yep. And my salary is $250,000 a year. Yeah. I don't know if that's even close. I don't know if that's super high or super low.
Who knows?
Don't know. But let's just go with that. Yeah. Say my salary is $250,000 a year, and I realize, and then all of my staff are making $100,000 a year. Yep. And I've got 200 staff or whatever in the office. Yep. And I realize that teachers aren't being paid. They're capped at $35,000,
which is insane.
So they're capped at $35K, and they're going on strike because I can't get the corporations to give them more money because the corporations are the biggest lender to the education system, let's say.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So my job as a good leader is to take a pay cut and put that money into the education system. You're like, fuck you, corporate. Thanks for your money for the ball. Thanks for your money for our fundraising events, whatever. Appreciate y'all, but you aren't society.
Yeah.
Society is the people. So it's my job, and this is one thing that Rob Ford back in Toronto was big on.
Okay.
Because he was like a coach for a high school football team, Don Bosco, which is up in Rexdale.
Okay.
And he, like the Toronto politicians, anybody that works in government in Toronto, essentially gets like TTC passes and parking passes for the city and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Right? So he used to throw all his passes out, which I don't think was like made any sense because it still had a value. Like maybe go give it to somebody.
That's what I thought you meant by throw it out.
No, that would have been great.
He actually got rid of them.
I think he just tossed them to be like, I'm not using these. I'm going to pay for the bus.
Yeah, but he
by being a member of society.
Could have given it away to somebody. Yeah. He did like a raffle.
I think his intention though was to say like, my job as a politician is to 100%. Be a member of society. I need to pay for the bus like everybody else. Because I'm making good enough money to be able to afford to pay for the bus.
Yeah.
I shouldn't get a free bus pass and make $250,000 a year.
Literally. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to like valuing things in society.
Yeah.
And you know, we all know that the first programming to get cut from schools is art. You know,
which is also insane.
It's the one thing that the group of kids that isn't like mentally designed for the education system. Yeah. It's the one thing they have to connect with themselves. We scrap it right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's devastating. But
which is also like we're saying, because we also believe art to be one of the most important things, right? So not only do we not value school, right? We don't even value art in school. We value art in school even less.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, why would we want to teach kids to be artists? We don't need more artists. We need to get rid of art because it's not valuable.
Exactly.
Which is crazy. Art has like, we still look at art on cave walls.
See, this is why my research. This is why my research takes me back to 36,000 years, because that's when some of the arts are from.
And that's the only thing we have left to try to figure out.
Is art.
And like, we undervalue it. It's crazy. I think like our job as artists then becomes, and this is I think is anybody's only thing you can do, is to cultivate what you can in your circle then.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
I can make art for the audience that I have.
Yo.
Yo.
We're in the middle of a recording. What's going on?
Oh, I just gotta get something.
Okay, come forward.
Get it. That's a cool shirt, by the way.
Yeah, man. The best band in the world.
Just watch out for that camera next to you.
I saw them one time.
All right.
Did you really?
Yeah, in Montebello, Quebec.
Really? Okay.
I don't think it exists anymore because they went bankrupt, but it was Montebello Rock Fest.
Oh,
I went for Tenacious D, but I ended up accidentally seeing like Weezer, The Used was there, Sum 41. There's like a ton of people.
That's a sweet lineup.
But his energy, like Jack Black's energy is insane.
Oh yeah. I can imagine.
Crazy. An amazing singer, just it was awesome.
Did you see Pick a Destiny, the movie?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorites.
I never watched the movie. I've seen like clips from it. I haven't seen the full movie. But the thing is, I was driving with my kids the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I thought of it. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw on the soundtrack and the first song was just like a whole bunch of fucks, and I was like, Yeah. So that was like my kids' introduction to Tenacious D.
That's hilarious.
It's a good movie. I feel like, how old are your kids?
Like 9 and under.
It might go over their heads.
Probably, yeah.
Like a more adult kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There really is. There's no in the movie. I don't think there's any nudity. There's like just swearing. I think. Oh, there is a dick. A couple of dicks.
I have 3 boys. There are dicks everywhere. Trying to teach them to keep their dicks away.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
You gotta see it though. There's like this one scene where he's tripping on shrooms, and it gets all like animated and like weird. And then there's Sasquatch comes in, and he's uncredited, But it's John C. Reilly, and he's credited as a Sasquatch handler or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, like Sasquatch expert or something.
That's so funny.
So funny.
I love John C.
Totally
Reilly.
unrecognizable too. You're like, who is that?
Really? I'm gonna watch it now.
Nice.
Gotta watch
I'm gonna
it.
check
10
it
out
out.
of 10.
Okay.
Awesome. Speaking of art and Jack Black,
Yes.
you know, one of my favorite Jack Black movies is School of Rock.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, where
Classic.
because he's teaching art.
Yes.
He teaches music.
Yeah.
And I think that's, what we were talking about. It's just like one of those things that's super important. But what were we talking about beforehand? The value, I think, the misplaced value on certain things is something that, because one of the things that I've realized with politicians is that their main objective is to get in office.
Yeah, of course.
And then their second main objective is to stay in office.
Yeah.
Right? So if those are their two main objectives, everything they do is towards that.
Of course.
Rather than for the community, rather than to have different better schools, better teaching boards, and whatever it may be. But it's super. I don't even know where to go with politicians. Like,
Well, how can they do a better job, right? How can you do a better job when you know that if you don't do what certain people want you to do, your job's on the line?
Well,
They can't do anything.
That shouldn't be their job then.
No, but like they know.
Hold on. Keep going.
They know that like getting voted in, they have to say that they're going to do certain things that people want to see, right? But then once they're in office,
Yeah.
they know that if they how do you
They're at the behest of these corporations, right?
yeah,
Like
so then they focus on that stuff instead.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like if their whole thing is to focus on keeping themselves in office, and the only way to keep themselves in office is to make these people happy,
Yeah.
then why are you even in office?
Well, if they're in office if they got into politics for the right reasons,
Yes.
then sorry, my phone's ringing.
No worries.
Oh, it's my 1 second. I'm gonna answer it because
We could mute your mic if you want,
okay, 1
and then
second.
we'll end it there afterwards. People are blinging your hotline.
I guess so. I don't even know. What were we saying? Oh, what were we talking
The
about?
politicians and doing stuff to appease the corporations. Here's another thought that I have.
Okay.
And let me know what you think about this thought. I sometimes believe that there comes a point where a corporation will have its own consciousness aside from the people who are running it, right? So say there's like Walmart has like a board of like 8 people,
Yeah.
right? The sum of those 8 people is the consciousness of the company, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
like the company itself will have like a super consciousness that we don't see it as a consciousness, but at the same time, the business itself is trying to survive, right? So the business of Walmart, I'm just using Walmart as an example.
Yeah.
I'm not pointing them out or anything, but the business of Walmart is trying to keep itself alive, right?
Hey, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's using these board members, it's using the employees
Yeah.
and all these things
Yeah.
to keep its own consciousness alive.
Wow, that's a really interesting concept. I love it. That's crazy. I think so then how do we classify that as consciousness? Because the consciousness would then change if a board member changed, right?
It does, but it doesn't change all of it. Right. There's still like a core to it that's like alive. Right. Like, for instance, there's still a core view that exists, even if you change like one specific thought on a specific thing or whatever. But like the way I look at it now is like, or as I said, this is where I'm at this moment in time. This is how I look at it. But like there's corporations that the corporations itself, they have to, look out for their own best interest, or else it's gonna die. Just like how we have to look out for our own best interest so that we survive. So
this reminds me of something that a concept I came across a little while ago that I love, and it intrigues me so much. So it's up this vein, but it's back to human beings.
Yeah.
So I read a while ago that there was someone had presented this concept. That so we talk about evolution, right?
Yes.
And we see how people say like everything came from one like gene or whatever. And so like, lizards were once fish who ended up on land, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. People have a hard time understanding that concept, and I generally don't adapt to that belief. But this new concept that I heard presented the old understanding in such an interesting way that made sense. So basically they were saying is like, with the sort of development of medical technology and robotics, we're seeing people amputating body parts and replacing them with like robotic body parts, which is incredible. Very, very cool. So the theory goes that at some point in the future of human beings, the decision to replace fleshy human body parts with robotic body parts will be more of a
enticement.
Well, it'll be more of a common thing rather than like a medical thing.
Got you.
It's like it'll start with like the wealthy being like, well, I want stronger legs, so I'm gonna switch these bad boys out. Right? And then it'll become more accessible, blah blah blah. So at some point in time, we'll get so far into the development of robotics that rather than taking a human fleshy and replacing it piece by robotic, we'll learn how to extract the human being, the consciousness, and input it into a pre-built robotic body. So then you'll just get rid of the whole thing in one shot. Then the theory goes on to say that what'll happen at some point is we'll study into the understanding of new consciousness, meaning like when male and female have a baby and reproduce a person, it's a new consciousness. Right? So at some point we'll get into studying that well enough that we'll know how to create a new consciousness.
Would that be
not AI?
I was just about to say, would that be considered AI in a way?
It'll have to look different than AI in order for it to still be human. I don't know what that means.
Well, here's my question then. Is human the physical body, or is being human the consciousness?
That is a great question.
Right.
So then here's the thing.
Because you wouldn't technically be human if you don't have your flesh, but you still have consciousness, so you could be like, you ever seen the movie Chappie?
Oh, yes, I did. That was a brilliant film. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I hate 𝁟There, but the movie was really good. And they did a great job with that character.
But just think of that concept. Like, he tried to put his consciousness into the robot.
Yes.
Right? And also, Chappie himself was a new consciousness, but he was more AI. But as he learned, he became more human.
That's true. So then so that's the like theory, right? It's like at some point we'll get to a point where however it comes about, we'll create new consciousnesses, and we'll import those consciousnesses into robotic bodies. So then this is the craziest, and those will be called humans. So at some point, thousands and thousands and thousands of years from now, you will have robots who have never, ever seen a flesh human.
Yeah.
And they'll only, and thousands and thousands and thousands of years from then, all of our history books will be gone.
This is why I'm 30,000 years in history, because all their history books are gone too.
So this is the crazy thing. So then you get some point down the future of existence.
Yeah.
You get this robot who's a human, but completely robotic body with a human consciousness that was like developed in a lab or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going to come across some ancient artifact.
Yeah.
That has a picture of one of us. And they're going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then they're going to show their friends.
Yeah.
And they're going to show the world. And all of this human robot civilization is going to be like, this is not real. It's a hoax or whatever, making it up.
Yeah.
And so basically what they were, I love that idea. But anyways, this, essentially what this
person
was saying was like, when we think about evolution, think about it like that. That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's a slow process over time.
100%.
And then you get to a point where you then have to look back and be like, whoa, what we have now is not what we had before.
Yes.
But somehow at its core, it's the same thing. And it evolved into something new. So much like you're saying with this sort of consciousness of a business. Yeah. That I think you're onto something. I think you're right. I think that like you have this thing where one person at one point in time is, take IKEA for example, is like, you know,
another great example.
Little kid gonna go ride his bike around his neighborhood in Switzerland and start selling pencils. I think that's how IKEA started. And then now we have IKEA as we know it, and it's this like massive thing that has like a consciousness in the sense that it's like it thinks about where it sources its materials from in the planet.
Exactly.
You know, and it realizes it has a responsibility to like its staff and people. Yeah. And all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Is that a new species then? So it's like the corporate consciousness, a species different than human beings?
I don't think that. I think it's the same consciousness that we have, just on a bigger scale, right? Because one thing that I believe is that everything is fractal, meaning what exists at the highest level exists also at the lowest level. Yeah, yeah. Right? So we might have our singular conscious, right? But each cell in our body also has its own singular consciousness. True. Yes. Yeah, right? So we have our own consciousness, but we work in a business, so we have our own singular consciousness, but then everyone's collective consciousness in that business is targeted to one thing. This is why I'm so fascinated by the pyramids, because you have to have however many workers focused on one goal that they had to have studied. They have to understand the math. They have to understand how to move blocks and cut blocks and engrave and do whatever they did to make the pyramids. Yeah. They all have to organize on that one thing, which is what a business does. Yes. Right?
Now let me throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Because this is another one of my favorite things in the
Yeah,
world.
I'm ready. And then we'll end it on this, because this has been an hour. This has been really fun.
Ooh,
but
I love
keep
it.
going. Send it.
Okay, so I actually want to turn this into a movie at some point.
Okay.
Because it's not, I haven't seen it yet. But it's, have you heard of the brain in the jar theory? Brain in the vat theory?
The brain in the vat theory. No.
Okay, so one of my favorite things in the world. So, if you were a brain in a vat, in a laboratory, being fed a consciousness by a group of scientists,
yes,
could you ever discover that reality?
Could I discover the reality that I'm a brain in a vat?
That everything around you is not real, and it's being directly imported into the brain in the vat. Yes. Who has no eyes, no ears, no senses.
Yes.
The thing is, so the theory goes that you couldn't. Because everything you experience is given to you.
Unless the people that were feeding it to you
gave you the information.
Okay,
so yes, so you could receive the information, but if you were never given that information, then you would never ever know.
Not only would you never ever know, I don't think you would ever think.
You'd never think about it.
Yeah.
Yes. So the theory goes that I could be a brain in a vat.
Yes.
Outside of myself.
Yeah.
Experiencing all of this.
Yes.
And what I love about it, the argument is that I can never prove nor disprove it. So what I'm stuck with is just being.
100%.
And that fucks me up in a way that forces me to just
settle. Let me ask you this then. I'll throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Is the brain in your head right now not in a vat of whatever it's in? Right? Because technically it is.
Yes.
And what you're fed externally is fed by culture. It's fed by news. It's fed by, whatever. So is that the real reality? That could be a false reality that you're shown, but this is all you know.
Yeah.
And if you never question it, you would never think to question it or whatever. So that's kind of the same idea.
For sure. What I love about the brain in the vat theory, though, is that what it for me, what it gives me is it gives me the reality check.
Okay.
That truth is subjective.
I don't think truth can be subjective.
Oh, I think that there are I personally think that there are very, very, very few truths in existence.
But there is objective truth.
What do you mean?
There is objective truth that if I hold this microphone, it's going to fall to the ground if I let go of it. Right?
Yes.
So there's that sort of truth.
So when it comes to science exists, that's true.
Yeah, but I agree, everything that you see might not actually be what it is.
Yes.
Right? So that doesn't make it true. Like in my previous...
So do we have math that supports science? Yes. But is that math...
Oh, they're closing the thing.
It's
pretty cool, right?
They're locking us in.
Yeah, it's getting too true. They're getting too deep locking down.
The math supports the science, but where did the math come from? Where did the numbers come from? Well, everyone will have an opinion on that. And that I think is is beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that and I think we don't respect that enough.
100%.
We don't respect that people have different answers for sources of things.
But this is, once again, back into the rabbit hole. You're asking where these numbers come from.
Yeah.
They might have come from Atlantis. And where did they get those numbers?
But where did Atlantis come from? That's it all circles, right? You get
to
a point where you can get lost in a rabbit hole. And I think that, again, just for me personally, the way that my brain works, this concept that, I experience life.
Yep. 100%.
And, very fully.
Yes.
I experience life very fully. But I also know that this life I experienced so fully could potentially not be what I think it is.
Yeah, 100%.
There's something about that sort of space that helps me.
I think so too.
Because I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Which is what the beauty of the rabbit holes is.
That's where I struggle, because I know I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
But I like to know more things.
It's you get to know things.
I get to know things, which I like. Yeah. I get to learn, but also because there's infinite things that you can learn. You can learn forever, and you can go down a rabbit hole that's so deep. You're 36,000 years back in history. It's crazy. And then there's even people that they might study archaeology, and those people, they might be millions of years back. Look at this Tyrannosaurus Rex bone that's 25 million years old, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So understanding that life is not what it always seems is I think that's very freeing.
Yeah.
Because also if you always looked at stuff in a negative way, you would always see life as it sucks all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not how life always is, right?
Yeah.
It's different for me and you.
Yeah.
You can look at it at, different perspectives. Like you can say, oh, well, this is here and that sucks or whatever. Or I can look at it and say, oh, well, it's cool that this is here because we can talk about it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I agree that understanding and almost like relinquishing that you can't know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very freeing.
Yeah.
And like, just like, oh, this reality, it might be true. We might be in a different reality.
Yeah.
We might be a brain in a vat, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Or like, we might even be, one thing I like to think about is like, and then I know we keep going on these tangents, but it's like, one thing I like to think about is how, like you're saying with the evolution, we might get to a space where we upload our consciousness into the robots. I like to think further, even beyond that, we're already at a point where our consciousness travels across time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So if our consciousness is already at a point where it travels across time, our future selves are talking to us today, which could be like a gut instinct or, something like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go think on that one a little bit. I like that one a lot. Time travel and consciousness. Ooh, okay.
Think about it. Well, I think we'll end it on that. One thing I like to do real quick is just say, 2 things you're grateful for. We'll express some gratitude today. What are 2 things you're grateful for?
Well, I was going to say this anyways, and then you've given me the chance. So I'm grateful for being here, man. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate you a lot.
Likewise.
And everything that you do and just your energy. So I'm really, really grateful to be here.
Awesome.
And I'm grateful for life. I think
100%.
I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by beautiful artistic people.
Yeah.
And I just get to be alive, which is a cool thing.
It's awesome.
So,
I'm gonna steal that too. I'm also grateful for life, and I'm grateful for life and the day. You know what I mean? Like every day you get to wake up, you get to breathe, and you get to see. So I'm super grateful for that, and grateful for good health too. Like those are the things. So it's been an amazing conversation. Tell the people where they can find you online.
James Favron on all social media platforms.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and play the outro music.
Further.
I'm sorry?
You said my skills extend farther than the basketball court. Farther relates to distance. Further is a definition of degree. You should have said further.